just want to say, I'm really excited to be here, Infinity Festival Hollywood, to talk about a Brazilian project. I have been working in a lot of things here in the US, and the projects that I'm going to present to you kind of represents the roots of my identity because I left my hometown when I was like 20 years old. And recently I started going back and helping them to bring technology to the experiences that they want to build. So I'm Danilo Moura. I'm the CEO of Simulated Reality, and I have been working with VR for many, many years. But I already been creating immersive interactive spaces for users to explore using avatars in a platform called PlayStation Home on the PS3. So that goes back to like to 2007, 2008. That's how I actually came from Brazil to be research and development engineers at Sony Pictures in Convent City. So it was really like a lot of fun to be able to create like interactive experiences. And when you think about the metaverse, this has a lot of the components of the metaverse because you had a lot of PlayStation 3 users getting together, but it was kind of hard to do what you're gonna see here being acted on the screen. Like you actually have to be pressing like 16 buttons on a controller to make someone run and crouch and do like the acting things that you want them to do. For example, each one of the folks moving here is one user behind the PS3. Nowadays, you could actually do someone with just like hand tracking the controllers and stuff, right? But the concept of what do you do when you have users in the metaverse, when you have like a shared experience, we have been doing a lot of that for many, many years. And PlayStation Home stayed on the PS3 when it moved to the PS4, and like around 2014, I left Sony to pursue a lot of VR experiences. And I've been fortunate enough to work in Emmy-nominated projects like this first one that I'm showing here, which is an experience with Buzz Aldrin. I was able to meet him and work with AI in Time magazine as a volumetric experience that explains his journey to the moon and also how he believes, that we should colonize Mars and how to get there. He's an amazing person, amazing vision, and be able to simulate being on the moon with him and be able to understand his plan was really, really key. And the next project here is like the Apollo Museum. Super crazy about museums. I didn't put all the museums that I worked on, but this one is very special because it's in a sensor platform, which is originally owned by the creators of the Second Life, and that was the next generation. I believe they sold the platform, but what we created in there was this experience that you can actually walk in the next generation museum, and some of those elements are in here. Then I'm also super proud to work in a hybrid 360 video and also a volumetric film. So what you're seeing here is actually a user walking in a VR experience with actually two actors, and everything else that you're seeing is actually just virtual. So if you Google my name and Google the project, you're gonna see like YouTube presentations that like the Game Developers Conference and a few other places that I have been talking to. So like I'm here just glimpsing to say, hey, there's a lot of those things that are helping with this project that I'm gonna show. And then this is the Brazilian project, which I'm super proud to be working with them like for many, many years. So because I started my company, I was able to, start working on some cool projects like Buzz Aldrin. I thought it was important to kind of like give back and say thank you. So I went there to the largest procession, Marian procession in the world, and I went there with a 360 camera and was actually following the procession with a 360 camera. And then later we showed to everybody in the church and say, hey, look at this, this is cool. It's like, oh yeah, a lot of people should see it, so let's set it up. So this is one of the activations in 2019. We were able to get the Seven Miracles movie was actually sponsored or owned by HTC. So I told them this project I wanted to do. They actually gave me, loaned me to like 12 headsets to take to Brazil and be able to put this in a room. And the reaction was just like fantastic, right? Like a lot of people were just saying, hey, this is really cool. I'm already old. I can't really follow the procession anymore. I just can't really do all of that. But now I feel like I'm actually there. And this is scenes of the virtual museum because we ended up shooting so much content since 2016 that in order to organize, we created a virtual museum. So a lot of people usually ask me, but what exactly is that? And because of my accent, I just want to put it on screen so everybody knows, right? So Cirio is the world's largest Marian festivity, and I'll start from the bottom up because I feel like one of the key things about Cirio is an example of religious tolerance. All you saw like on the boat scene and the car scene and the motorcycles, so many processions going through intercity. So the procession, the Catholic procession passes in front of sites of other religions and they do not close their sites. They actually open. They volunteer on the Red Cross or they donate water. And I just want more people to see it, and maybe this inspire more people to just have like a religious tolerance instead of fighting. Like there's a lot of love to one another in this project. I actually have a lot of friends that are volunteers on the Red Cross, and they are not Catholics. You know, instead of following the procession, just help as a sign. So I feel like there's a lot of good things in this project that we could show. And I'm super happy that when I'm talking about like a next generation museum, what happened was about a year ago, I was pitching them a new idea. And then they said, oh, we like that. Actually, we are planning on revamping our old museum into a new one. And we are welcome, you are welcome to pitch anything. Let's see what we can do and let's redesign the experience. And my mind went crazy because I have been designing virtual museums for a while, and then I was stepping into a real museum installation. But at the same time, I was afraid. So I asked help from Rejane, which unfortunately she's working in a bunch of museums and installations. She couldn't be here. She couldn't fly from Brazil to Hollywood to just do this presentation. So, but I want to thank her so much for her 2 decades of experiences, two post PhDs in art, and also being an amazing human, with 100 installations that helped me a lot on this process of coming out of this whole digital background into a physical installation because she created a lot of experiences that 3,000 people can go through a day, right? Like she was usually selected to be like the key art of new museum, like a key installation. So I'm super happy
Can,
that she
can we
joined.
give her a little audience love so when she sees the recording, she can know?
Yes. And of course, in a museum, it's impossible to do it alone. And actually, we use a lot of cool technology, VR, AR, iPads, Quest headsets, like everything to be able to put this idea together. And that's because the creative team was all over the place. I was in LA, I live in LA, she was in São Paulo, Danielle was in Rio de Janeiro, Carlos in Belém and flying and traveling a lot. We also had a lot of consultants that were coming from Portugal, Spain, and Italy, and that's because we wanted to tell the story of the devotion of Our Lady and how it started. And it started in the Holy Land, and there's like, I have like 11 rooms to tell the story. I don't have a lot of time to explain it today, but I also just want to thank, you know, um, the special thanks to the Archbishop, like Don Alberto, Father Assis, and also the festivity director, Antonio Salami, because they basically trusted and basically funded this whole museum renovation with the creativity and a lot of things that we put it together. So the challenges were to redesign an existing museum, so we had to work with existing walls, and they were expanding for like 4 new rooms. So we were planning on how we actually will execute. And also, the idea to explain the devotion of, the origin of Our Lady devotion from the Holy Land to Amazon. And also a key experience, that's what I'm demoing here in the room next door, and I see some folks here in the audience that tried, which is to be closer and potentially touch the church's most sacred item. And it's kind of that idea that you can take an object that is usually in a protective glass, and you can take it off, and you can actually put your hands on it. And the reason why this is actually important is because if you can see the experience, I'm going to play a little video, but just for the context, you have like a basilica filled with like 5,000 people, all wanting to get closer to that object. The procession that you guys saw, 2.5 million people trying to get close to the artifact. And when they can't get close, it's usually protected by velvet ropes, and it's kind of like the same experience in a lot of museums. So like my concept was to be able to remove the glass and allow people to reach closer and touch the objects. And the main thing that drove us in the decisions was to create an experience that generated impact. Like that was the thing. Yeah, I can put this on an iPad, but would that be really the most interesting thing that people want? So this is the project, right? Like we had to work with an existing museum, and the team was everywhere. But at the same time, we wanted to, as a creative go, to use technology as a tool in the toolbox. And that was kind of like something really challenging for me because, with a very digital background, I wanted to use a lot of technology, but we were always choosing things as a story driven. So this is one of the cool things that I feel like is very important, which is a pre-visualization of what you're going to build. So we actually created this framework for museums inside of the game engine that you can actually go and simulate how users will walk through the museum. For example, right now we just selected like a QR code to start activating a video. And the reason to do that is because we had like 2,000 years of story, history to go through, and only like 1.5 rooms. So we kind of like condensed the text in one wall, and put like a video as a QR code, so you can get more and more. Because even if you wanted to put like TVs, you need like more room to be able to tell your story. So that was one way to be able to save space on the museum. And here you're seeing that in the same phone, instead of using the joystick, you can actually press like an XR button, and then at that moment, your phone has motion tracking, and you can actually feel like you can walk close to an object and have the experience like in VR. And here's like a quick explanation on how it use, right? Like, so you have like the statue from Portugal, you can get close to it. And here's the interesting point. A lot of museums here, especially in the United States, they should have Spanish and Italian and be like Europe, that you have many languages to explore the content. And of course, that requires a lot of space, but if you just put a QR code, you can open a translated text that usually it wouldn't take a lot of time, then it would cost that much to be able to make museums more accessible. And I tell this because I bring my mom and family members from Brazil, and we take to museums and I have to translate everything. So it would be very helpful if they could actually exercise. So that's actually an idea that I would like to suggest for more museums to activate. But there are also other use cases in addition to just like text, right? For example, in the museum we have a lot of um, uh, mantles on the wall, and you can actually put your phone over the QR code, and instead of just opening text, then actually opens a 3D object that has the capability for you to move your phone up close, and you can see all the details with annotations to explain what exactly is that art piece that you're looking at. So there's a lot of those use cases that are actually not expensive. Believe me, we did a museum in Brazil with a lot of technologies. I can guarantee you that it's not that expensive. It's more like putting the nice ideas together. And also another thing that we learned a lot is that demoing 360 video is challenging. Because if you have a VR headset and someone wants to spend 10, 15 minutes, even with those 12 headsets that we had, there's a lot of people frustrated because they was waiting to get into their turn. So our solution for that is to build up a 360 video room where the content is projected on the wall. So you can easily get 30, 40 people into that room and watch the content. So for anyone designing museums, I suggest that. This room we saved for the next year. We actually have a few other experiences that we are building that are not yet released. But here's a video of how the museum turned out at the end, right? So we completely helped with the creative part on how to tell the story. And you can see here the statues like in real life, and you can use the QR codes. Another interesting thing that we did, we had to visualize how to build a forest inside the space that we had. So we correctly chose which pictures of forest will actually fit together, simulate what should be physical, what should be printed. And then here to talk about the 12 processions, we filled up rooms with televisions. Here are the mantles that I was explaining. You can walk close to it and you can actually see moments of that mantle being used on the procession. So it's a really nice way to creatively put together, but also we created those iPads that connect to the TV. I have them one here in the room. And this is I would say, like the flagship experience where you can actually put on a headset and get as close to the statue and touch it. So I'll explain a little bit better in this video. So This is the room, and usually it got packed with groups of 30 people at the same time, and they can put on the headset, and when they put their hands forward, you see the silhouette of the hands here. And then you can see the bishop coming and bringing the statue close. And here's like some testimonies of priests and people that went through the experience. And what I actually saw in there is people were actually waiting for many, many years to be able to get close to the statue. And when they can actually go and touch, they were very, very emotional. Like they were like sobbing. And I was worried that it could be, because they were using VR, if they were, if they would have some kind of issue because of the technology. But I interviewed a lot of people and I did a demo for a lot of people. And they were just like, no, 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 no. I thought I would only meet Mary when I die. So they were actually describing it as a actually very intimate experience and never talking about like, even they say like, I know that that's a virtual image, but the feeling was very real. And here's the final video just to show like from a first person perspective and how it works, and that's the final slide. And you can see I do have that experience running in the room next door, probably for just a few more minutes because we are wrapping it up. And everybody can see it. So this is the experience. So you can see here 5,000 people waiting to get as close as they can to the statue. So that's the reason why this actually was a request from the church to say, can we create something that allows people to get close and touch it? So that was like the flagship project, the flagship room for that project. And I'm super happy that it's running now as a permanent installation in Brazil, and hopefully soon in a metaverse near you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I would love to take questions, but the forklifts are literally lining up outside. We packed this to the very end. So I want to thank you guys so much. My name is Jeanette Patty, Propellerhead Inc. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks.